Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Sorry for a no-show last week. I was a little bit under the weather, but never fear. The Stunning One is here. I'm alongside Jake from the Windy City. Jake, how are you doing?
Stunning Shawn, it is great to talk to you again. It's great that you're feeling better. And I've had a hell of a time past couple weeks. It's been fun and beautiful day today. Really looking forward to what's in store for this episode. So let's have fun, man.
Oh, this is going to be one fantastic episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
Okay, Jake, we finally got the second quarter earning update from the WWE as they were posting this a little bit later than normal as they were wrapping through the investigation, and the investigation is still going on with Vince McMahon. As we were away last week, it was uncovered there was another couple $1 million was brought up the total now to $19.5 million. That's unconfirmed payments that are trying to figure out where in the world they came from.
Yeah, I mean, we've been hearing the craziest news like each and every week, and it seems like it's this figure just keeps on growing and growing and growing, and just still hearing the stories of what McMahon has been spending throughout the years, even going way back to the 2000s. So it looks like this figure is going to keep on growing, and it's interesting because there was the conference call today for their earnings report, and Stephanie McMahon Levesque began the call with analysts praising her father and noting he had retired without delving into the reasons why he was stepping away. She emphasized the new team of herself with Nick Khan and her husband, Triple H, Paul Levesque, and positioned the three of them as being influenced by WWE from a young age. And, Nick Khan remains extremely bullish on the company's next round of negotiations for its U.S. media rights and believes the addition of tech companies adding live event content to their streaming platforms will only enhance their position. They're working with a lot of different stuff right now. And I mean, it's interesting because there was the report yesterday, and I read from PW Insiders that WWE has its concerns about how the company will go forward financially without Vince at the front helm. So seeing that recent SEC report, so a lot going on.
Exactly. I mean, Triple H was talking about this investor meeting as well, where he was highlighting the success of the NIL program they had so far. In the first half of 2022, they have signed 50 athletes, and are looking to sign another 50, try to get that total up to around 100 or so. He also said that the pre-sale for WrestleMania coming out to Los Angeles is at 80% bought already, given it's only been out for like a week now, which is kind of crazy to see.
Mm-hmm. They trumpeted the success of the first day of ticket sales for Mania 39 next April, noting that over 90,000 tickets were sold within the first 24 hours. That is an amazing figure, and definitely still looking optimistic for what the future is ahead. I should also mention during the Q&A that there were no direct questions regarding Vince McMahon, nor a timetable for the conclusion of the investigation.
What you got to think about, Jake, is probably the best is leave that to the legal team as they still try to go through all the discovery, because they're still in the discovery phase of this investigation. We still don't know what the true result is going to be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Another thing that came out of this second quarter earnings report was Triple H talking about his booking strategy and how it's going to go forward in this new regime. And he's talking about, well, he's been in professional wrestling for 30 plus years. He feels like he has the best team around him, and it's getting back to basically what he calls the basics, having really good characters, putting them in really good storylines, and seeing how the fans react and just going on the fans' reaction.
It has reflected that upon the past couple weeks of TV and how the ratings and seeing the ratings results as a result of it, and it definitely served them well. And saw parts of it, like it definitely reached a high last night with Monday Night Raw. Definitely seeing Triple H's fingerprints on the program. Just amazing promos from the talent, simple, cohesive storylines, just like wonderful matches as well. Especially that a tremendous performance from Asuka last night. It really served them well. So I'm putting it with a strain of caution, but overall it serve them well.
Well, Jake, we're going to leave the conference information there as we go over to our next news item. As the past couple of weeks, New Japan Pro Wrestling has had one of their G1 tournaments. This has been a more, I want to say, lackluster G1 tournament. It's not up to the hype level as a lot of the recent G1 tournaments have been, but we finally got the Final Four. And 3 names are basically synonymous with the finals of G1. It's Will Ospreay, Okada, and Naito. And they added Tana Tonga as the 4th person. He's going to face Okada in one semifinal. And you got Naito versus Will Ospreay in the other final, with those 2 people meeting on, I do believe, Thursday morning, our time.
And we saw some of the results. It's the 11th night of the tournament. Took place this morning. You can see Will Ospreay had a really good match against Juice Robinson. Obviously, Kazuchika Okada defeated Lance Archer. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised that Kazuchika Okada won the A block. Considering that he has a lot going on in his personal life. He's gonna be becoming a father. But still, like, he's Okada. I mean, he can still do whatever he wants. In the ring. So yeah, overall, been trying to keep up with the G1. I'm still far behind, unfortunately, because it's been a struggle considering the lack of enthusiasm from the fans. I know that there are many restrictions still in place as far as fans in Japan, but it definitely affected my enjoyment for a little bit, and still trying to catch up. And there's still I would consider a match of the year contender from this G1. I really like night 12 with Shingo Takagi and Will Ospreay in that 22-minute match. It was a fantastic match. Both aggressive, both high flying. It still really served them well. So yeah, overall, I kind of like this new format with 4 blocks because as a result of it, there's no longer will be too many matches in these individual days. I gotta say, it really helped them along the way. What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
This 4 block setup they had this year was one of the big controversies coming into this year's G1. Actually, I kind of like it, and I like the fact that it gives them an opportunity to take somebody who's in the upper mid card, like a Tama Tonga, and push him in a block. And I got a feeling if I was New Japan, I would let him beat Okada. Having a clean pinfall victory over Okada will push this guy into the main event scene. And I feel like they need fresh young talent.
I was really happy that Filthy Tom Lawler, one of my favorites, finally made his debut here on the G1. He had this great interview with John Pollock and Wei Ting at Post Wrestling, seeing how it would go for him. And overall, like, he had a great performance, especially with some of the weird matches against Toru Yano and Bad Luck Fale. But still, I mean, he was pretty impressive, and you can tell that he took it seriously. He took this opportunity and really showed how efficient he is, how he still attached his moveset, and really done works for him.
Exactly, Jake. Now, we're going to have our thoughts about this week's finals come up next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We're going to leave this here as we move on to the third story, as the WWE has announced that Trish Stratus is going to be at 2 house shows in the Ontario area on August 20th and 21st. One being in Kingston, Ontario, the other one being in London, Ontario. If you're lucky enough, I would literally go out to see Trish.
Yeah, if you're living in the Ontario area, go out of your way. I'm very curious about this. Interesting that Trish will come back and do some house shows. Do you think this will lead anything on the screen in television?
I would like to see Trish come back for a few matches, especially if Triple H is bringing up more NXT talent. Because, there's Kaylee Lee Ray. There's still this Alexa Bliss Trish Stratus match that we could have as well.
I think the last time she wrestled was SummerSlam a couple years ago. I believe it was against Charlotte. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that was pretty good. So hopefully she'll make more of a presence here in the WWE.
Exactly. I feel like she could be a good ambassador for the company, and if she wanted to do more stuff with the WWE, I would literally sign her up as an ambassador for the company.
Absolutely. She can be a tremendous coach for the younger women on the roster. Even help some NXT talent down in Orlando. So yeah, I'm curious to see what goes on and if she continues to be in this capacity.
Okay, Jake, we're going to leave it there as we move on to our next story, and a very surprising story to myself, as I watched last week's episode of AEW Rampage and found it was kind of mediocre except for a really awesome Daniel Bryan segment. But they brought in one.
Bryan Danielson, man, come on.
Okay, Bryan Danielson. I'm sorry. It's the WWE programming. I'm sorry.
We already passed it. It's almost a year. I'm just playing with you, man.
Anyhow, Rampage brought in 526,000 viewers with a .17 in the key demo, which is 18-49. This is the best rating they had for Rampage since April.
I really like that promo with him and Garcia. Brian was kind of like that angry dad, just scolding his son, which is kind of at the correlation with that. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a decent Rampage. I mean, to be honest with you, like I've been in and out with Rampage, especially since it's on Friday nights. I got stuff to do on Friday nights, and the thing is that there are some good stuff on Rampage, but I think the issue is that creative is not really doing some newsworthy elements on Rampage. If you understand what I'm saying, kind of like when CM Punk made his AEW debut on Rampage, which I was at the United Center, that second episode of Rampage back on August 20th of last year. I mean, looking back, I don't think it. If CM Punk were to debut now during this time, I don't think Tony Khan would have booked it on Rampage. Looking back at it, so. He would probably save it for Dynamite.
I think you're right about that, Jake. I feel like now, for lack of a better term, Rampage is basically the B show. They have omitted Rampage is the B show between Dynamite and Rampage. And if you had a megastar of a CM Punk level, I would feel like they would debut on Dynamite now.
Absolutely. But it's kind of cool that the A talent is still making some appearances on Rampage, and that they would still like to make that show relevant. I mean, to be honest with you, if Ring of Honor is looking for a TV time slot, I would just replace that. I would replace Rampage with a Ring of Honor weekly television show, to be honest.
Well, my solution I was going to offer you, Jake, was this match we're going to have coming up this evening between Bryan Danielson and Garcia. I would put that as this solo match on Rampage, since it's 2 out of 3 falls, and give them like 40 minutes.
Absolutely. Like, you could just fill out the entire 60 minutes. Since, like, a 2 out of 3 falls, like, what else are you going to put in that show anyway? So, and it would be a tremendous ball burner of a match.
And you could hype this thing up on Dynamite, going like, hey, we got one match. It's going to go the full length of the show. And I feel like if you do that every now and then, you can actually drive the ratings to Rampage. And I feel like they want to have both shows on some kind of even level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If they want to have it an even level, you got to promote it heavily if you want some newsworthy stuff on Rampage. It's definitely that Tony Khan should definitely look at and consider.
Okay, Jake, our very last story of the week concerns a possible AEW talent, as everybody has fallen in love with the Japanese import from DDT. He has spent the last 3 months here in the United States and traveling over to England. He's wrestled for Progress this past weekend, and reporters have asked him what his future he wants.
Did you say Takeshita?
And he says he has no interest in the WWE. He wants to go back and wrestle for AEW again, which is kind of surprising because I wouldn't be announcing that. I'd be like wanting to play both against each other.
Nah, that's the best move that I would say for him, because, like, we know the history of WWE as regards to Japanese talents, with the exception of maybe Nakamura and Asuka. But yeah, I mean, if Takeshita wants to have that freedom and to have that maintain that balance of schedule and having fun matches, I would definitely just as of right now just stick with AEW whenever he comes back here to the United States.
I know one thing, Jake. The guy is freaking awesome, and somebody needs to sign him up for his North American appearances.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He should be an exclusive to AEW here in North America. I mean, he had that tremendous match at Rampage a couple weeks ago against Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor world title. And that finally got behind Takeshita in that match. At first, I wasn't sure what to think of him, but he definitely got my eyes open, and he is a tremendous talent, well versatile, just pure awesome in the squared circle. Yeah, I mean, he moves very well. He reminds me of probably like a younger Tanahashi.
I can see that. I was going to say he reminds me of a young Jushin Liger, because, I mean, he does have a lot of lucha moves and stuff, but he also has his size and powers.
Absolutely. So if he's not interested in a WWE run, so, I mean, good for him.
Okay, Jake, one final story. As you brought to my attention over our absence last week, The Rock is teaming up with Vice TV and the people from the dark side of the ring to form a new TV show, Tales from the Territory.
Yes, so this series is from Dark Side of the Ring's Evan Husney and Jason Eisner, the creators of the show, along with Dwayne Johnson's Seven Bucks Productions. Johnson, Danny Garcia, Brian Gewirtz will serve as the executive producers alongside Evan Husney and Jason Eisner. This series will take viewers back to the golden age of professional wrestling, quote unquote, when the industry was divided into local regional territories. Amid reports of Dark Side of the Ring not being renewed, they are committed to this new show from Seven Bucks Productions and the Dark Side of the Ring guys. And a trailer has been released last week. There were interviews from Bret Hart, Abdullah the Butcher that were featured in the trailer. Jim Ross also revealed on his podcast that he was going to be involved in a Tales from the Territories episode, looking back at Mid-South Wrestling with Jake Roberts, Michael Hayes, and Ted DiBiase. I am very looking forward to this docu-series. If it is going to replace the wonderfulness that is Dark Side of the Ring, that is going to be, if it is going to be taking a break, I think this will be a great replacement as of right now. I'm very curious if they're what the format is going to be, to see if they're going to cover different territories for each episode. The territory system is still a relatively new genre to me. It's I was born in 1997, so it's like way before my time, but have an education and knowing the history of professional wrestling. Especially, I do recommend this wonderful book by Tim Hornbaker called Death of the Territories, which is a wonderful book looking back at the regional territories and how Vince McMahon expanded his local regional territory and expanded into a worldwide entertainment phenomenon previously based in New York City. So I hope this show will have episodes covering AWA, Mid-South, World Class Championship Wrestling, especially Jim Crockett Promotions, which I'm pretty sure they will cover. How about you, Shawn? What are your thoughts on what they're going to do on this show?
There's a lot of good things they could possibly do. I mean, especially if you look at this era during the 80s, because you could have people like J.J. Dillon talk about his times in Mid-Atlantic, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Oh my God, could you imagine them sitting down with Jim Cornette for a show about Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
Yes, that's one that I would like to see. I really hope that Jim Cornette will be involved in every episode, to be honest with you. If he's not, then I would totally believe that would be a massive ball dropper, because Jim Cornette has every known memorabilia about the territories and has all the facts, has all the house show numbers, all the money that was drawn, all the information of how money was drawn back in the day. So yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that Dwayne Johnson is involved with this, so you can finally get more WWE contracted talent and legends onto the show, which wasn't the case for Dark Side of the Ring. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the show.
Well, Jake, we're going to wrap up the news this week, and we're going to slide right into the 76 questions.
It's time for the stunning 6 questions. All the whys and what have they done now? Hopefully Shawn and Jake can figure it out.
Okay, Jake, our very first question. We're flying back to what we were talking about at the main news story. How do you feel 3 weeks into Triple H taking over the reins of WWE Creative? Before this, I was feeling like Raw was something you could skim through. Now Raw is becoming almost must-see TV.
I gotta say, it's been an improvement. It wasn't perfect, but then again, I pretty much dropped off of watching WWE over the last year until I started co-hosting the show with you. And last night, it really got my hopes up for the future of this product. I am really happy of what this show has made improvements on. Well, you can tell that they're focusing more on more of a well-versed in-ring product. And another factor is we always joke about the wrestling terms that Vince doesn't like, and we'll just ban those. And we finally found out through Cultaholic that yes, professional wrestling will no longer be a banned term. And we saw that last night in that Drew McIntyre Kevin Owens promo, saying that we're here, we're wrestlers, and we're here in a wrestling ring, and let's freaking wrestle. That was just wonderful.
Exactly. I mean, we're coming off of Smackdown where we saw Gunther versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and we slide into this Raw where we get AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley for the very first time ever. Even though I was trying to rack my brain, like, did they ever wrestle in TNA? And I couldn't think if they did or not. But we also got Drew McIntyre versus Kevin Owens. There's two very big matches on this Raw that normally would never happen.
Mm-hmm. You know, regarding the Bobby Lashley versus the AJ Styles match for the U.S. title, the presentation of this match was terrific. The production team did a really nice job with the brief video package that helped make this title, the United States Championship, stand out as special. I mean, you can tell that Triple H wants to make the titles relevant again, which I'm really happy that he's going out of his way to do so, because, you know, the past several years, the titles have meant nothing. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but, you know, it's like outside of the Undertaker's streak, it's like, you know, the belts have, you know, just relegated to just worthlessness. Watching last night, it should feel meaningful whenever a title is defended, and not just like every other match on the show. The actual match had a couple of awkward moments, and yet it also felt like a pay-per-view worthy match, in that it was a first-time match involving two high-end talents. It was tremendous. It was interesting to see Miz and Ciampa come out, and didn't really factor into anything, though. I assume that, you know, Dexter Lumis popped up when he did because he is after one of them, though I can't rule out that it's a swerve and he's actually targeting AJ Styles. I wouldn't be surprised in that aspect.
You know, Jake, that was my first thought when I saw Dexter Lumis the first week he made his appearance. And I'm thinking, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing AJ Styles versus Dexter Lumis. I mean, it's a match that we never seen before. And I know for sure they probably didn't wrestle in TNA when he was Sam Shaw. It's refreshing to see how Raw and Smackdown has changed just a little bit. And all it needed was just a sprinkling of a different viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely agree with that. Also, the Seth Rollins and Riddle segment. Rollins did a really nice job of setting the table for Riddle to announce that he's been medically cleared. And Riddle, in his, you know, quote unquote home, looked like in his home, but actually made a swerve that he was at the building, and just came out and beat the living crap out of Seth Rollins and made him run like a scalded dog, as JR used to say back in the day. Riddle was still a lovable stoner, but, you know, his tone has taken a more serious turn. I'm really happy. I'm really happy that Riddle is becoming more serious. Is taking his storyline here with Rollins more serious. I can't rule out that he's taking this approach to the tone of this feud, but I'm hopeful that it's a change that will stick, because he seems like more of a single star rather than a Randy Orton fanboy. I was really satisfied with how this turned out.
You know, Jake, I really have enjoyed Riddle over the last few months of this summer, as he's kind of become more serious, and they're slowly taking him away from Randy Orton. Well, one reason they had to was because Orton got injured, but I still think that Riddle can be a main event player on his own. He doesn't need a person like Randy Orton to carry him through a match, and a more serious, vicious Riddle would be something that I would want to watch on TV.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it'll be a great improvement on the presentation of his character, his gimmick. That this is the Riddle that I've been waiting for. To see him more aggressive, more serious against his opponents, having more cohesive, simple storylines that would catch the eyeballs of viewers. So, really looking forward to see how this plays out.
Exactly, Jake. We're going to leave it there as we slide over to stunning question number 2. Which of the recent WWE returns have you enjoyed the most?
To be honest with you, it was Hit Row. I know it was without Strickland. It was without a Swerve, I should say, but they were my favorite part of NXT 2.0 last year. So I was really happy to see them back.
Well, you know, I felt bad for them when they got released, because I'm like, they literally got brought up 1 week, and inside that same 7-day period, all 3 members plus Swerve got released. I'm going like, if you're going to do that, why didn't you just leave them in NXT and let them be the heel stable down there?
Yeah, exactly. You know, they dropped the ball on them big time. You know, just let them hang over there, and at 2.0, let them develop their characters, let them develop their promos, let them develop their charismatic capabilities. So exactly. I mean, I was really disappointed when they were released initially that first round. So, but yeah, I'm really happy to see them back, and really looking forward to what Triple H has in store for them.
Well, with this new package of the three of them, I kind of feel like they got a chance in this SmackDown tag division to do something, and it gives you another tag team to put on Friday nights, so we don't see the New Day versus the Viking Raiders every other week.
It fills out that tag team division. It's like we always see the same matches like every single week. So hopefully this adds some substance to the SmackDown tag division. And who knows? Maybe they will face the Usos down the road. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Okay, personally, the return I have enjoyed the most is Dakota Kai, as she has back with this trio with her, Belly, and Io Sky. I felt like Dakota Kai had a lot to offer as a singles talent on the main roster, especially coming from the run she had as a heel in NXT. She's a great wrestler, and she's finally given an opportunity to be on the main roster.
Yep, exactly. We just saw her last night with a match against Dana Brooke. Quick and painless showcase win for Dakota. That's an observation. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and yeah, she's a tremendous talent. I think I saw her live at an NXT Takeover show when they were at the Allstate Arena. I think it was at that War Games card. Seeing her just stand out. She was the one that turned heel, and seeing that character just grow and grow and grow. Really have I feel pretty confident with this trio with Io and Bailey that this would work out for her.
Exactly, Jake. Let's move over to stunning question number 3 as we slide over to AEW. As I have a kind of a problem with AEW at the moment, they just love to defend their interim world title on every show, and I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I don't need a world title match. Let's just save it for down the road. I know they got to get to the point where last week they brought CM Punk back to save the day, and we get the face-off between the interim champion Jon Moxley and CM Punk. We know that's probably the direction they're going to for All Out. I don't need to see another title defense until All Out.
Yeah, at least it's not the actual world title that's being defended every week. Yeah, I don't know about you, but yeah, I agree with that. The problem I have with Jon Moxley in recent weeks is that, along with the interim world title defenses, which I agree. I mean, the problem with that is that it just keeps devaluing the title even more. Even though it's not the actual championship belt that's, CM Punk has that right now. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work well if it's defended every week. And I think another aspect to that is that like every Jon Moxley match, there's color involved, and it's like every single week there's blading and blood is shown consistently, and it just keeps happening every week. It's like, yeah, I mean, I love seeing blood when it's natural, when it's organic, and when it means something, but it's just they cross the line on that, as our friend Jason Agnew constantly says. More is more. I mean, it definitely applies to this technicality. It's not good. Like, it has to mean something. It definitely doesn't do that currently.
It's just a simple fact that they got so many titles. They're adding trio titles. You could literally have a month where you only see the world champion on AEW TV in a match one time, and that would be the perfect number, because you got so many people, so many titles. If you're trying to make all these titles mean something, make it a rotation.
Exactly. They have a lot of titles as it is already. I mean, I just remember that they have the All Atlantic title, and Opac is currently holding it right now. And then not just in AEW, like in Ring of Honor. I mean, they have their own 6-man tag team championship, which is held like Dalton Castle and his crew. So they have their own trios title already. So it's like, dang, there's a lot there, man. I think Tony Khan really needs to be careful, or else it's gonna go overboard.
Exactly. I just feel like he's going to desensitize us from title matches like we're currently desensitized from blood.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're moving over to stunning question number 4. As we look at the WWE return of the Women's Tag Team Tournament. Now, if you look at the brackets, it's kind of obvious who's going to be in the finals here, as we're down to the semifinals with one match coming up on this Friday night's episode of Friday Night Smackdown. I think all road leads to the fact that we're going to have Dakota Kai and Io Sky versus probably the two ladies for the NXT on the other side.
Yeah, I do hope that Sky and that Io Sky and Dakota Kai win it all, because even though they just came back for the past couple weeks, but they already showed that they're capable of standing out. So overall, I mean, they've done wonders for this, and yeah, hopefully in the end they'll definitely get there.
Now, granted, this semifinal match between Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Dakota Kai and Io Sky coming up next week on Monday Night Raw is going to be something I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish they flipped this bracket around so that could have been a final match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, we're heading over to standing question number 5. And you kind of have a personal viewpoint to this story because we're going back to Naomi and Sasha Banks' time at C2E2 as fans were paying $130 for their meet and greet, and it looked like they couldn't be within 8 feet of them.
Mm-hmm. So I was there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had a hell of a time at C2E2. Got to meet CM Punk at the Pro Wrestling Tees table. Him and Danhausen were there at the Pro Wrestling Tees table. I mean, it was not too much. Like, I had a fun time getting to chat with Punk, getting to meet him for the first time. It was like the boyhood dream has come true. But yeah, he was pretty much the only star I asked for both a photo and an autograph from. It's interesting because like I saw at the back end of the convention center down in McCormick Place in Chicago, I saw Mick Foley, I saw Mercedes Vernado, Sasha, and Trinity Fatu, Naomi signing autographs, and I didn't really hear the story until I logged on to the Twitter machine later that night. By the end, and yeah, I mean, paying $130 to getting some distance between feet. Now, granted, they weren't the only ones that were doing that as well. I mean, it happened with the other big stars as well, with Moses Ingram and Vivian Blair, who, as some of you know from Star Wars fame, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So especially with Billy D. Williams, Billy D. Williams, they did allow fans to get up close with him and just to hug him. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't just Sasha and Naomi. It happened for some of the big stars that were guesting at C2E2. I mean, with Moses Ingram, who was like the biggest villain on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like they literally had like a barrier between her and the ones who were asking for autographs and the fans. So yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't surprised. I mean, there were some, at times fans can be creepy at times, and also we're still in somewhat of a pandemic mode. But yeah, I mean, charging a lot on the other side, charging a lot of money for from fans just to get like maybe like a barrier or being asked to have some distance between them. I certainly wouldn't do it, and I definitely didn't do it. So just kind of ignored that aspect. So I did get an autograph from Mick Foley for my belts, which is pretty cheap. So I'm so thankful for him.
Well, I feel like there should be a happy medium. There's like some crazy wrestling fans, and I would be like, I understand completely. You don't want to be like hugging and doing this other thing with these fans. But also, they are fans. They're paying to get in the building to see you. At least be kind of like shoulder to shoulder, not like maybe throw a football like 4 or 5 feet to catch something from you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you. I mean, yeah. Again, there has to be like a balance in between. Like, if I was doing like an autograph session, like I would give the fans what they want. Like, have a good, healthy conversation from them. That's what CM Punk was doing. Like, you got the chance to talk with the fans. Was very generous of his time, even though that at times, yeah, there were some long lines at the middle of the convention. But yeah, he was happy to chat with me, chat with some of the other fans, especially with Danhausen. Like he was such a fun. He was having such a fun time, so had one hell of a time, and yeah, tremendous panels at C2E2. So overall, kind of unfortunate that we saw that news, all that news regarding Sasha and Naomi, but hopefully lessons can be learned regarding that. So hopefully not too many fans were vehemently upset, but what can I do?
Exactly. I mean, I just saw the pictures, and I'm going like, if I was one of those fans, I'd be kind of going like, well, I don't feel like getting my $130, but like I was telling you before, I'm like, I can understand the other side of the table here going like, there's some really creepy fans, and the way to take care of that is to make sure you prosecute those idiots to the fullest extent of the law. Yeah,
that's why there are security guards there. They'll be very strict, and they can be very strict, and they'll just tell you to cut it out. But like as the stars of the show, I mean, you don't have to be let the officials handle that, and don't just be more like welcoming to your fans. That's all I can say.
Exactly, because these are the people that are buying your merchandise. These are the people that are watching your TV shows. Let's make sure they feel special for that 30, 90, however long you actually interact with that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jake, final stunning question of the week, number 6. As we're coming to the evening here, getting ready for AEW Dynamite, there's a certain trio match on this card, and we only know 5 of the 6 people because last week on AEW Dynamite, we saw that Adam Page is not going to be the third member of Team Elite, as he's going to be in the corner of the Dark Order as they face off against the House of Black. So are we ready for the return of the One Wing Angel? Are we ready for Kenny, oh my god, Omega?
So before I get there, so do you think Hangman is going to team up with John Silver and Evil Uno? Is that what you see there?
Honestly, if I was them, I would let the Dark Order be Hangman free, and it's like Hangman be in the corner, because I feel like Hangman is above these titles, but you need these titles to go on to somebody good for the first champions. You know what I mean? It could be the House of Black.
Right.
It could be the Elite with Omega and the Young Bucks. Okay, cool.
That's true. Let him be in the corner. Let him continue to be a singles competitor. Yeah. So here's the thing. I watched Being the Elite yesterday. Did you get the chance to do so?
I did not see this episode this week.
Okay. So what happened at the end was that Matt Jackson, at the end segment, Matt Jackson was taking a nap in his couch, just like I think he was like eating Cheetos or some just doing some lazy boy stuff. He was taking a nap, and he got waken up by his phone, and he was talking, and Matt Jackson said, "Are you sure you're ready to do this? You sure you're ready? You sure you want to do this?" Those were the actual quotes. And by the end, it cut out, and the beginning second of Kenny Omega's theme music popped up, and then it went to the closing promo that does every week, selling the Young Bucks selling their merchandise. So that's, we've seen this before. AEW teasing something, they make some sly references. They don't outright tell you that so and so is coming back. We saw this before last year with Sting and Darby Allin mentioning the best in the world. They made that sly reference, and we saw some of the backstage reports. They didn't outright tell you that CM Punk is coming back, but at the end, they did not swerve you. CM Punk came out on that night at the United Center, and the fans came home happy. I think this will be a similar situation where Kenny Omega might be cleared. It's been, how long has it been? Like 8 to 9 months already? Like since we last saw Kenny. I believe it was Full Gear last year. So this could be the moment that he will team with the Young Bucks. I'm wondering if he is going to turn babyface here, if this will be the case.
Jake, I got a feeling that him returning to this AEW crowd is going to automatically make him a babyface. And putting him in this trio tournament, it'll be an easy way for him to get back into the groove of wrestling every week or every other week. And if he's still not 100%, like he said, all his energy and stuff, he'll probably never be 100% really. So it's a good place for him to be, is in this trio group trying to go after these trio titles.
The feud is there, Sean. Mad Nick against Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole. We saw the Undisputed Elite turn on the Young Bucks. This will cause Kenny to pick a side and most likely align with the Young Bucks. And yeah, this will be a good, babyface versus heel trios feud between all of them. This is a natural feud right here. For maybe All Out, or maybe for another pay-per-view down the road.
Exactly. Once you get the Undisputed Elite back and healthy, you can have a series of pay-per-view matches between the 6 gentlemen, and it would be freaking awesome. It would be like money-making matches. And yes, I know you want one in Chicago.
Yeah. Hey, selfishly enough, yeah, I do want to see it in Chicago, but yeah, who knows what will happen. So yeah, I definitely want to see it down the road. It's definitely a money-maker match right there. The Undisputed Elite against the OG Elite. Yeah, it's right there.
You know, it would be kind of like the new Bullet Club versus the old Bullet Club right before they started All Elite Wrestling, because they were heading down that road where we were seeing the OG Bullet Club break away from the Elite, and we're going to have that kind of civil war with the Bullet Club that we never truly got because they came over to AEW and they had that flying out with New Japan.
There is no culmination in that feud, so yeah, unfortunate because they had to leave to form AEW, but I mean, hopefully you can see this feud finally.
Okay, Jake, let's just go ahead and wrap this show up here as we tell you what's on tap this evening on AEW TV.
What's on tap? The guys give you their picks on what you can't miss this week.
And Jake, what you can't miss on TV this week is tonight, because this card is freaking loaded in my personal opinion, as we have the 2 out of 3 falls match between Bryan Danielson and Garcia. You have Rush and Dragon Lee and Andre versus the Young Bucks and their mystery partner. You got the Varsity Blonde versus the Gun Club. And the match I'm looking forward to the most, Tony Storm versus Callan King and Davis Frank Williams Herald right now.
Woo! Looking forward to that 2 out of 3 falls match with Danielson and Garcia. I mean, and also the best 2 out of 3 falls. Yeah, it's really looking forward to this card. Will take place at Charleston, West Virginia, at the North Charleston Coliseum. Another match to look forward to is the Young Bucks, and to be announced against Andrade, El Idolo, Rush, and Dragon Lee in the Trios Championship Tournament first round match, and that's going to be pretty awesome to watch. So. I mean, it looks like they're still going all out, no pun intended. AEW is still going all out regards their weekly Dynamite, so really looking forward to this.
Exactly, Jake. And if Tony Khan is listening to this podcast, can we not get the Varsity Bonds a win on TV? Can we not get behind Brian Pillman Jr., please?
I definitely agree with you. So, hey, I mean, at least Julia Hart's gone from that group, so they wouldn't bother.
Jake, she's probably in the best position out of the 3 of them.
Yeah, she's in the best position. Who would have thunk it? Like, you know, Julia being in a better position than Brian Pillman Jr. It's, oh man, I really expected better stuff for Brian Pillman Jr., but that's another rant for another day.
Well, Jake, we'll save that rant for another episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling.
Sean, thanks for having me along. It's great to be back. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us along and inviting us into your homes this afternoon. You can follow me at Jake Olinar on both Twitter and Instagram. You can find all my takes on professional wrestling, as well as the wide world, the real world, as far as movies, comic books, whatever you name it. Just follow me there for some of my takes. And the world of wrestling is really exciting right now, Sean.
Exactly. You can always follow me on RFPW host Shawn, because I'm the host with the most, and I always put my hot wrestling takes there. You can always follow this show on Twitter at RealFreePW. So, Jake, fans, until next week, I wish you a very freaking stunning week.
Woohoo!
This is Sergeant Arms of Christina on behalf of the guys. Thanks for listening to today's show. Please head over to Apple Podcast and leave a 5-star rating and a review. Until next time, the liberation continues.